Hey guys, welcome back to another Battlefront, and this time it's my Kingdoms of the Underearth versus the Great Kingdoms. Whatever it is of the Underearth versus the Great Kingdoms. So this is the scenario we had, and it's what we're doing. So for the scenery, it's rough ground, which I believe was the player picked 3 bits of scenery, places them, then the opponent can move them up to M. We also have our extra bits of what they're called, special scenery, sacred scenery, whatever it is, that you're allowed to set up. I'm still not 100% sure on the setup method for the sacred scenery things. It says about, having to be set up within the rules of the original setup, so I think it's like within S the enemy. But does that player set them both up, or do you place your own? Not entirely sure on that. At the moment we wing it that each player places their own bits of sacred ground, and who'll get its name eventually, places their sacred ground as they go. For the deployment, we had Vanguard, which basically means you have to set up in a certain order. So it's like, I think it's mounted with missiles, mounted, infantry with missiles, infantry, and each unit has to be deployed with an S for another unit that's already been deployed. Game length until dusk, that is the 6 turns, I believe, with the first player getting 3 Saga dice. Special rules. I have to laugh because I've done fog twice now. I can't bloody believe it. And this time I wanted to try a war machine to see how effective it is. And yeah, so it's not going to be a full use. So I'll be using the little war machine for a while to try and get it in and get to use it. Fog, basically for the first 3 turns, you cannot shoot or charge from over M away. And the victory conditions is sacrifice, where it's basically massacre points, plus you get additional points for each of the units that are killed outside of combat. Basically, if you use your units for saga abilities, things like that, which I don't think comes a lot into Age of Magic as such. But I suppose you can still get units wiped out from shooting, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what we've got, and I'll have a quick look at the armies. So for the Great Kingdoms, my opponent has a captain who's mounted. He's the guy with the banner. He has 2 warriors, 8 at the front, and then he has 2. Yeah, that's right. So he has 3 points of Hearthguard. Obviously, he spent the 2 points on his captain, and he's got his warlord on foot in the middle. Then he'll have heavy weapons. On the left-hand side, there is a little trapdoor, which is my sacred piece to jump up my guys from. Then on his left-hand side, he's got 1 point in levy and 1 point in warriors, and a sorcerer hiding in the woods. That little well with the grey guy just stuck to the top, that's a statue for a minute. My opponent didn't have anything, he didn't understand the statue as sacred ground special rules, so we'll just put them together a statue. As part of the Great Kingdoms, I believe if you've got a unit that generates Saga dice within VS of it, you can reroll one of your Saga dice that you roll in your orders phase. So it's quite a handy little thing. If you've got someone especially like the Lev who can just stay back and pop some shots off while allowing to reroll one of your dice. So as for my Underearth, it's mostly what you've seen before, though I am trying out a couple of things here. As you can see, I have 4 points of levy. I have 2 with spear, 2 with bow. I have my warlord on a beast and a sorcerer. And on the far side, I have my trolls, which are creatures, bipedal creatures. I'm trying them out because, I don't know, a bit of the glass cannon those things are. I'm not entirely sure how great they are, but they might give some more punch to my levy front line. And as I say, I wanted to try out a war machine. I had one around, I couldn't find it, spent ages finding it, finally found it, and of course we rolled up ruddy fog, didn't we? So, yeah, we've got my Goblin Doom Diver there, and down the bottom there is also my Squigs, which are my Hearthguard with heavy weapons. So this is the overall look, and my opponent got first turn, and so in his first turn he'll be using 3 Saga dice. So my opponent's first turn, he moved up a fair few of his units, just using manoeuvres and what such. As you can see there, of course there'll be no charging, no shooting, and my turn just started. I thought I could take a quick shot as we go there. My basic move, I think I used the special ability which allowed me to move 1 unit and up to 3 units within VS of it, which are allowed to move for that activation. I've moved my archers up close just to have a close range shot at the warriors there. And as you see, they've already got fatigue on them because he's pushed them up to try and chase back my levy. And I use my wizard to cast, I believe it's slow time, which has a chance of giving you a free shooting activation, which I managed to get off, which I quite like because that basically gives him like a little weird bay. That's why I have the 2 shooting units and take that as well. On the big version of it, the dangerous version, I believe it's free action, but it's also +1 to your hits. And also I use the experimental SAGA ability, which means any 6s I roll will turn into 2 hits. So I did a couple of casualties there. And then I threw in my levy, just to try and drop off one of his SAGA dice. And they managed to do some casualties for a couple of losses themselves. So it's what I tend to use with my levy. They're quite good at just slowing things down as tar pits. They don't kick out a lot of damage, but they dig a lot of wounds, which is great. And as I say, if I'm reduced to near the 6, I just pull them back so they just can generate SAGA dice for me. So this is how we're looking. To the left-hand side there, I've just moved up the creatures, ready to do a counter-attack to whatever they put into the levy. I'll then counter-attack with my trolls. My boss just moved up to the centre. The right-hand side hasn't done too much, though I have put my Hearthguard near the trapdoor, so I can creep up behind them and maybe try and snipe out a warlord. So my opponent goes for it in his turn and charges, moves twice and then charges into my levy to do as much damage as he can with his Hearthguard with heavy weapons. I didn't go for max damage. As I say, mostly with my levy, if I'm attacked by anything big like this, I tend to close ranks, just to try and soak up as much of the hits as I can so I can counterattack. But in this case, these guys did some serious damage, and unfortunately I don't think I did any damage to him either, so yes. And these guys, my poor levy now aren't generating any SAGA dice, because you need 6 levy to generate the SAGA. Over on the other side, on the other hand, he charges warriors in against my bowman. Unfortunately, I can't close ranks with bowmen because they have a special weapon. So I just end up striking with my 4 attacks and actually manage to do 2 casualties, and my opponent does 3 to me. So this is how it's looking at the moment. His wither's not doing very much. It's still in the wood over there, and of course he's got Bolt, I know, is one of his abilities, and Blinding Light I think is another. But they're range L, but of course with the fog up, it's just really annoying everybody. The other thing with the fight against the Hearthguard, I didn't spend any of his fatigue. I left it all on him, so when he came in, got the fatigue on him and charged me, I left that on him. And of course after the fight, he's now on 2 fatigue, which is much better for my trolls to run in and smash up. So here I go in with my Warlord again, just to try and get rid of some more SAGA dice. These guys are warriors, so they need 4 men to keep generating SAGA dice, so it shouldn't be too hard, but just to make sure, I put violence on them and managed to get off the big ability, and it wasn't a nasty effect. I think I put a fatigue on my wizard for getting the big one, so I get +1 to my bonus attacks on my battle dice, which is fantastic. With 10 attacks this dude does, that should do some damage. Also, I thought, turns out I didn't do any damage, and just bounced back. It went that badly. I don't know what happened there. Oh, he had a lot of defensive abilities, things that gave him extra defense dice and stuff. And he just managed to pass them all. I think he closed order as well. So yeah, one of the things for the Great Kingdoms is they can be very defensive with a lot of their SAGA abilities. As you can see here, I went in quite brutally there. He had fatigue on him, and I had +1 to hit as well, and still managed to take no casualties. Unfortunately, I managed to get a couple through on me, and just put me in. Actually, yeah, no, I've got 2 fatigue on me, so obviously he put 1 or 2 wounds on me, and I've got another fatigue for the end of the fight. However, my archers managed to show how good they are at rolling 6s with experimental weapons of SAGA ability, and actually managed to take out 3 of the chaps. And then I go with my bipedal creatures. So say these guys are pretty brutal. I mean, they've got, what, 5 attacks each. That's 10 attacks they're knocking out there. But they're only defense 4, and they only have resilience 1. So obviously my opponent has to get, what, 6 wounds through and they're dead. Because you've got 4 fatigue you can have because they're imposing. 5 will kill off 1, 6 will kill off together, which I don't like. Once these guys are fatigued, they're pretty useless. You really have to rest them before they become effective again. And as you see, thankfully they had 2 fatigue on them as well, so I managed to drop their armour down. It was already down to 4 because they had heavy weapons. So I put them down to 3. I think I put them down to 2 just to get max attacks on them. And then, yeah, he failed miserably to do any damage to me. And my guys with the big statues just pounded them into the ground. So that was 5 Hearthguard taken out. So this is how we're looking. As you see on the left hand side there, on the top left hand side, my Hearthguard have actually come through the little entranceway. Really just to run to a position where they can snipe off the heroes. It's great to do, but the left flank is looking really good for me. Quite happy there. My troll's done good. But on the right side, not much is happening. As I say, without the shooting, my artillery piece isn't going to be doing very much. I'm just keeping my levy there just to protect them. So you can see the warriors are coming across that way. Again, he brings up his Hearthguard and charges in again and smashes these guys up. Doesn't kill any, but doesn't take any damage, and I end up with what, 4 fatigue on me, which means now just 2 wounds will kill them both off. And that always just feels harsh. It probably isn't. It feels harsh. So yep, he follows up the attack. Spends I think maybe 1 fatigue to lower my armor to a 2. I think just to make sure they die, and yeah, blitzes them. And that's how we're looking at the end of that turn. You can see he's moving up to get my artillery piece. His slingers have moved up to position to start firing, I think from next turn. We're on turn 4 now. But things are looking pretty good. I'm still generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Saga dice to my opponents. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Saga up at the moment. My turn, my archers send a volley off. I'm still not sure on this move. I was pretty pleased with it. I got 6 of my Hearthguard have come out their hole, and just to take out his Warlord. That's the Saga dice for him, and it's unlikely he's going to kill all my guys, so I still be generating a Saga dice. Just nice to get rid of him. And of course, both of our units are carrying heavy weapons, so that's 3's armor for our guys either way. So yeah, that's pretty brutal. So he comes in, he kills 5 of my Japs, and I managed to take out his Warlord. And I think that is it. So that's the end of the turn. Move back over to my opponent's turn. The Wizard finally has line of sight now, because the fog's now lifted, and manages to get a bolt off and kill off all of my levy. Warriors then go in and try and smash up my guys. Again, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure I'd have gone defensive. So it's my tactic with these levy, just for them to hold and tire my opponent out using up his Saga abilities on him. Over this side, he uses his captain to charge against my Hearthguard and manages to take him out quite happily. No, with my 2 attacks, there's no way I could kill his captain. And then down in the centre, his Hearthguard are still running through. Just trying to reduce my Saga dice down here. I'm just gripping onto my Saga dice here with 7 goblins remaining. As you can see, it is pretty messy now. There's bits everywhere. But I now can get to shoot at long range, so I even get to fire my War Machine. So keeping up the threat, trying to get rid of Saga dice, I charge my hero, my Warlord, on Beast in, and managed to get the spell on him as well, to get the 2 bonus dice. You know, it all helps. It gives me 12 dice. It was quite funny because my opponent has been, they've got an ability, the Great Kingdoms, where they get an extra effect if the attacking person has 12 or more attack dice. And unfortunately, because most of my army's levy, there's only like 6 dice. All my creatures, and obviously my Warlord has 10. So no one's actually getting that 12 for him to allow that special ability. So he's getting pretty miffed. And then by the time I actually get my 12 attacks in, he obviously doesn't have that ability up. But yeah, I pop in with my 12 attacks and nail them both, and that gets me reducing my opponents by another Saga dice. So I actually fire my War Machine. It's got close range, so it has 4 shots with +1, well, dropping the enemy's armor by 1, and he kills an almighty 1 warrior. I think this weapon's just really good at taking down things like what do you call them? The bigger creatures, Titans, Behemoths, and Scourges. I think they're the 3 it's good for, because if it's only going to do 1 point of damage, your resilience 2 doesn't matter because it still takes you up a fatigue. So it's just basically just keep chipping away at those kind of beasties. If it does that, I can only fight once a turn, but with that and my archers firing together at a big beastie like that, they should be able to do enough damage that I can just run in and pop it in combat if needs be. So I get brave from the goblins and throw them in to do some damage. And as you can see there, I took a couple of casualties. Still enough to generate Saga dice and managed to reduce my opponents. Though they don't generate Saga dice, so that was a good fight for me. So as we're looking at the moment, my side of the board, we're generating 1, 2, 3, 4 Saga dice, and my opponent is got one Saga dice. Yeah, so he's going to be struggling now. Have I got 1 Saga dice? Yeah, because I don't think a captain generates Saga dice. His warrior's down to 2. His levy, the only things that generating Saga dice for him now. So his levy open up and managed to get a few hits on my general, but I managed to save them all, so he didn't manage to snipe him off. But no, it'd be hard going. When he's on a beast, he has resilience 2, which is handy. So again, with my magic, I managed to put violence on my guy on war beast. He rested, charges in. It looks like a long way away, but he's in range because obviously they shot me. The advantage of beast is you move medium, but you charge long. So that's quite cool. So he managed to have a go at the levy, and the spell, I managed to get the big version of the spell off again. I don't think there was any backlash or anything from the casting this time, and he goes in with +1 to hit. So unfortunately they're still generating their Saga dice. They don't quite do enough to wipe them out, and they don't do very much to me either. Then go for Hell for Leather and think, well, if it's mask points, I want some extra points, kill a few more heroes, and his sorcerer's in range, and sorcerers are very crap. I think they've only got aggression 3 in combat, and their armor's 3. So I went in with my beast. His spell only lasts for his next combat, so he hasn't got his spell anymore. He goes in, and I think he gets it. My opponent gets a hit on me, and then of course I got another fatigue for the end of combat. Oh no, 1 for going in, 1 for the combat, and then I'm exhausted. But I go in and kill off his wizard. At this point of the game, my opponent is struggling. He's down to the 1 Saga dice, and I do believe he uses it. Though I think he rolls a 6 again, and managed to get a couple of Saga dice. I know he spends 1 of them and has a shot at my warlord, but my warlord, lucky's it through, saving on 4s from range shooting is quite useful. Does dumb down the range shooting quite a bit. I don't mind that. I think that's about all he does. Yeah, I think that's it. He rests. I think he rests his men. Oh yes, that's how he's getting the extra actions as well. Because he's got a captain. His captain has a we obey special ability, so he can we obey these slingers to rest and fire. And not sure what he was shooting off for. I think he might have been afraid of my my mounted dude, just in case. So my turn, I've only got a few dice, but this is why I like this spell, because if I can roll high enough, it's a free activation, which basically means it's like a free Saga dice as far as I'm concerned. And in this way, I actually get it big time. And so this unit's activated for free, it doesn't generate fatigue, and it gets +1 bonus to all its shooting attack dice during its shooting. So it plinks off and wipes out the unit that's in front of him. A bit of overkill, but it's you get bonus points for actually wiping out units, so it's worth me doing it. I decided to send these guys in again. I say it's bonus points for actually finishing off the units as well. I think it's like a bonus point for a unit wiped out. So I'll go in and try and finish with these 3. Yeah, my levy doing what levy does, and unfortunately just kills off 1, and we both break off. And I think he might have killed enough there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's killed enough up there just to annoy me. And I don't generate any Saga dice for this unit. Well, but if I had wiped him out, it would have been good. So luckily, I decided to rest. I have an extra dice on for my warlord. He rested and charged in, and my opponent spent some of the dice to try and stay alive, and I just butchered. The fatigue. Trying to stay alive. I managed to butcher them off, so that finished off that unit as well. So that was how the game ended, and it was a victory to the it's not Kingdoms of Underearth. I've got the book. No, I don't have the book right next to me. I know Lords of the Underearth, I think it is. Good game. I say I didn't know what to expect from a War Machine, and I still don't. So I'll be definitely trying that in the next one. I like the impact from the creatures, though their armor 4 hits are so fragile. I'll have to have a think on that. I don't know best to use them, but otherwise I'll just be spending another point of levy. And as much as I love my levy, they do soak up a lot of damage, especially when you close ranks. I honestly don't mind doing it. As I say, my levy are there to A, generate Saga, and B, get my opponent to use his Saga abilities on them, so I can counter. And really my counter is my Warlord and the creatures at the moment. I don't have anything else that big. Spells wise, I'm really happy with my combo at the moment. Slow time is great because it gives me free shooting actions. So that's one thing I'm worried about with my guy mounted on the Squig, because he doesn't have We Obey, though he goes up to Resilience 2 and 10 attacks, or Aggression 10, sorry, which I don't mind, but he doesn't have the We Obey, so it can be hard to order my guys around, especially since they're all levy and use up the best dice to do it. But on the other hand, as I say, my wizard has slow time, and that gives me most of the time a free shooting attack, especially if I put 2 dice into it. What else? The violence, that's always good. Both those, I don't mind 1 dicing. The effects of them are quite good. Even the lowest effect of them is quite good. And the third spell, I think I have, is aging. Again, I think it's a 1 dice spell, and just cause an extra fatigue on the enemy if they do certain orders. Which again is good, but situational. Puts my wizard normally in a stupid place, which I'm pretty renowned for. Watching my wizard die as he's trying to age, a scourge, and then obviously is in charge range, so it gets eaten there because it's only range L. But other than that, slow time definitely worth it. Violence, still happy about that. It just beats me up just a little bit. But I might look through for the other spells, see what else I like. I think I'm going to go for the 1 dice spells, because I don't like, because I have so much levy, I can't put the dice in to generate more magic dice. So I need spells that are easy to cast and are effective. So far so good with these guys. Other than that, the combination of my army I'm quite happy with. I'll play with this for a while. I have got some dead on the go. And then way back off, I've actually got, I'm going to put together the wilds as well, an army for the wilds. But obviously I'm going to get them all painted before I get to use them. Dead guys should be fun. I'm using the Warlord plastics, skeletons. I really like them. They're a bit fiddly to put together, but the skeletons are like really spindly, so they look right for the skeletons. They're not too chunky. They're not like the old classic Games Workshop ones, which are a bit ham-fisted, if you know what I mean. These guys look quite nice, so I'm glad to put them together and get them going. I think that would be a warrior spam. I think that is the way to play the undead. Lots of warriors to kill off and rise. And as for the wilds, I think I might use my lizardmen. I've got some 5th edition 40k 5th edition fantasy lizardmen from Warhammer, which I'd like to paint up and give them a go for that. A lot of hit and runs, a bit like using my Welsh, I'd imagine, so that should be a laugh. And see how that goes. Alright guys, thanks for taking part and watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright guys, take care. That was.